Every so often, a storyline comes out that looks like it has been predetermined by the football gods.
How far this team can go this year. The standard is Super Bowl.
When you look at what's going on in Green Bay right now, it's easy to wonder if we're not just watching another NFL season, but rather watching a prophecy unfold. Because Jordan Love is more than a rising star at this point. It seems like he has been anointed and appointed by the mysterious powers that be to be the next Green Bay Packers quarterback to lead the franchise to a Super Bowl. And if you don't believe us, well, check out the creepy number of coincidences that are eerily aligning with his Packers predecessors. So much so that you gotta ask, has the finish to the 2025 NFL season already been written? Let's start with the age thing. Taking a look back at the legendary signal callers that came before Jordan Love, there is a wild coincidence that has coincided with each of their respective runs towards Super Bowl glory. Brett Favre, Super Bowl champion, age 27. Aaron Rodgers, Super Bowl champion, age 27. Jordan Love? Well, he just so happens to be turning 27 on November 2nd of this year. Whether you're someone who believes in abstract concepts like destiny, astrology, numerology, or heck, if you're a skeptic, maybe you could even be one of those guys on YouTube who thinks that Tom Brady's actually a lizard. But the pattern is freaky, and with the Packers currently on the ascent, I don't know, feels like the number is doing something. Both Hall of Fame Packers quarterbacks before him won the big one at that exact age, and Love just happens to be the next in line, with his team steadily improving and a 27th birthday right around the corner. Makes you feel like it's not so much a coincidence, but actually a pattern. But hey, that's a strong signal in the NFL where patterns really matter. This is the kind of thing that we usually only notice when we're looking in the rearview mirror. You know, like when Brady beat the Rams in 2001, or when Mahomes won MVP in his second season as a starter. Nobody knew what they were watching until it became a pattern. You know, when we all had the benefit of hindsight. But we have a unique opportunity to get ahead of this one, and we're not done with the wild similarities between these players' career arcs just yet. When you drill down on the connection between him and Aaron, well, it gets even crazier. Not only did Rodgers win the Super Bowl at 27, he won it in his third year as a starter. A phase of his career that was delayed because the Packers had an aging star under center that wasn't quite ready to give up his throne. Sound familiar? Jordan Love also happens to be heading into his third year as the guy after having to play the waiting game behind a surly veteran for a little while. Just saying, you could not script this any more perfectly if you tried. I mean, go ahead. Try to write a better setup for a legacy launch. You just can't. The only thing missing is Vince Lombardi rising from the grave and to start play calling himself. The interesting thing about all this mystical alignment is that it isn't just a he's due type situation. It's more about rhythm and timing and the development that we've already seen take place to date. Rodgers hit the Super Bowl stride in year 3 after continuing to improve each of his first 2 seasons as the starter. Love already made the playoffs during his first 2 years since taking over at QB1 in Green Bay, and while his past season was obviously a little bit of a disappointment, they did fall to the eventual champs in the Philadelphia Eagles, and were just about as competitive as any team was against that juggernaut of a squad. And let's not forget about what he did the year before when he took the Packers into Dallas as underdogs and downright embarrassed the Cowboys. It hasn't been the most consistent progression, but there is no denying that the guy's already ahead of schedule. Of course, making the matter even stranger is when you really drill down on the sagas that surround the 2 previous quarterback departures from their legendary franchise. First, Brett Favre leaves the Packers for the Jets, then Rodgers does the exact same. Like seriously, you're telling me 2 straight Hall of Fame quarterbacks not only followed the same career arc in Green Bay, not only left after grooming their successor, but both ended up in the exact same random AFC East outpost. It's just so bizarre. And once they got to New York, well, unfortunately, the similarities continued. Both guys suffered brutal injuries during their first year with the team that capsized their respective seasons despite high expectations. And now, granted, Rodgers decided to stick around for 1 more year, which, not exactly a rousing success, but it looks like he's now about to continue in Favre's footsteps and find another contender to latch onto. That's not just spooky, that's downright lazy storytelling. It's like the NFL is basically just copying and pasting career arcs with this one. If Love ends up leading a different contender to a conference championship appearance and on the wrong side of bounty scandal, then geez, we're really gonna have to call out the NFL for scripting this one. In any case, one has to wonder, Do Love and the Packers pull it off and win a Super Bowl this year? Will the pattern run in full? Will Love 2 go to the Jets one day after trying to sabotage his successor? Maybe, maybe not, but point is, history is certainly repeating. Heck, it's repeating itself in freakish detail. And the only part missing from this cosmic cycle is Jordan Love's ring, at least for now. Which now brings us crashing back down to earth for a split second, out of the metaphysical matrix and into the muddy trenches of actual football. So, how about we put the prophecies on pause and talk about why, even without the creepy coincidences, the Packers still look like a team ready to raise hell come January. Because here's the honest truth. Even if you burned every numerology chart and threw every Favre Rodgers Love parallel into the nearest bonfire, you're still staring at a Green Bay roster that is flat out built to make a run. And it all begins, as it always does, with the quarterback. That's right, it all starts with our man Jordan Love. He's proven that he is the real deal. His arm is among the strongest in the league, and the touch, the timing, and the mobility, man, it is all there. But what really separates him is the composure. The dude plays like a grizzled veteran, especially in pressure situations when the Packers need him to truly be great. Think back to that playoff win in Dallas. I mean, you saw it in his eyes, and the way he carried himself and led that offense, that wasn't just a fluke. That was a statement. The guy looks like he has been here before, and we should expect more of that to come. Love is ready to win a Super Bowl, and based on the team that is being built around him, the stars may truly be aligned for it to happen in 2025. Because Green Bay is not just a quarterback-reliant team being dragged to relevance by Love. They've got among the best organizational structures in the league, and a coach in Matt LaFleur who knows what he's doing in terms of X's and O's and building a culture. They've got continuity, and maybe more importantly, they've got a core, young, under contract, and nowhere near their ceiling. Green Bay was able to avoid any significant losses during the offseason too. And general manager Brian Gutekunst was a menace on the market himself. He brought in Aaron Banks, a reliable interior lineman from San Francisco who should bring some much-needed sturdiness to a unit that had its moments of chaos last season. And Nate Hobbs, a 25-year-old stud cornerback on a 4-year, $48 million deal, was a huge move. And this is building on what was an already impressive incumbent roster. Josh Jacobs is still one of the top running backs in the league, and he proved that he has more than a little bit left in the tank last year, especially with the way that he played during his first season with the team. There are some concerns about the wide receiver depth, with Christian Watson expected to miss another chunk of games this year, but hey, Jaden Reed has really started to come into his own. Plus, the addition of Mecole Hardman should not only bring some championship DNA to Lambeau, but also bring in a guy that can take the top off of defense. Oh, and they have a big, physical, pass-catching tight end in Tucker Kraft and backup Luke Musgrave, who can eat up yards underneath and also serve as valuable contributors in pass protection and run blocking. The only real question is if they can add a little bit of depth at receiver and perhaps find a pass rusher in the draft who can tilt the field on third downs. That's the final piece. That is the move that could take this thing from a nice little playoff run to a full-blown Super Bowl push. If Green Bay hits on that final piece, well, they're not just contenders anymore. They are kicking down the door and crashing the NFC elite, all while lighting up the opposition on the way. Especially when you factor in that the NFC North, for the first time in a long while, actually feels wide open. Aside from the Chicago Bears, who were fumbling around as per usual in 2024, it was an absolute gauntlet last year, with Minnesota and Detroit finishing 14-3 and 15-2 respectively. But you know, both those squads face uncertainty heading into this year, and should be expected to regress. Detroit lost key contributors on both sides of the ball, and more importantly, Ben Johnson, their offensive architect, finally took the jump to a head coaching gig. That's the guy who turned Jared Goff back into a Pro Bowler and turned that offense into a top 5 machine. Without him, what that offense truly is, well, that remains to be seen. Minnesota, on the other hand, well, they parted ways with Sam Darnold, who was the driving force behind their offense last season. So, while the media is busy hyping up the Lions and Vikings and hypothesizing that this could be the year that the Bears finally figure it out, the Packers, who, by the way, were an 11-win team last year despite a myriad of injuries, are sitting pretty. Jordan Love isn't just trying to be the next great Packers quarterback, he is trying to complete his destiny, the one that was laid out by Favre and Rodgers. The NFL isn't a movie, but it certainly feels like it at times. And when you stack all of this together, the age, the third-year starter thing, the Favre Rodgers Jets parallel, the structure of the roster, the state of the division, the youth movement, the playoff win, it all just feels like it's building up to something. And if this plays out the way that it looks, well, we're going to be talking about a third 27-year-old quarterback from Green Bay lifting that trophy and joining the pantheon of Packers legends. But what creepy coincidence do you think is the biggest proof point that Jordan Love will win the Super Bowl next year? Do you think he's got a shot at it? Or do you think we're completely off base here? What do you think we got right? What do you think we got wrong? Let us know in the comments section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking that like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then hey, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.